Monaco, 1 win away. Canyons, 1 win away. Dignitas awaits on the weekend. One best of 5 to send a team from the lower bracket into the Spring Series main event. As a good friend King Kodiak used to say, wind him up and let him go, and it's Shamway who scores 4 seconds in.
Going, he did. He was not waiting for the starting signal there. He was running already. And Cash also dominating defense the last series, but he had no chance on that one. Zamway decides to take matters into his own hands and does that what Solary couldn't, but right there, one back. What happened there?
It's every kickoff you've ever seen. Things got, that was incredibly slow on the part of Canyons. Nobody even got near the ball. And then your last man, of course, always going off for boost. It was a freebie. And now Stake looking to add another one, but Cash there for the stop. So very bizarre start to this game after what we saw in both teams' previous series. The long layoff for Canyons, the dominance we saw out of Monaco. We're right back to square one. It's like nothing even happened in the first 30 seconds.
Very, very unfortunate for Canyons. It was such a good start, just absolutely gifted away by them. No good at all. And I think the most important thing is how hot the players are, right? Because you have the Canyons who come from the upper bracket where they only lost the last series against Endpoint until they moved down, and then you have to wait for such a long time. And if you're able to start the series off in this way with such an early goal, that is so great, especially against a team of Monaco that's just absolutely on fire. And then you gift it away like this. That's just abysmal.
Way up top, but that's well defended. Great high-low defense on the part of Monaco. Now will be Cash lobbing one all the way downfield. Stake is there for it. This is going to go right back to Cash, however. Worst case scenario, but he's denied by Tox. Now Shamway out of his own corner. We saw Canyons have to make a massive adjustment mid-series against Endpoint. They had to play more physical because they were going up against Virtuoso, who's just an absolute bully. Maybe they need to keep that up here in this series. Just focus in on taking Cash out of the field as much as they can. Zamway is going to have one here, and he's got his second of the game.
And Zamway, almost identical to the first kickoff goal, gets it first off of the corner. Cash is there, but not close enough. It does sneak in, and once again, AS Monaco looking at a deficit. Can they get another free kickoff goal? No, this time Canyons does take the kickoff, and it is only 2-1.
Extra has this get away from him for a moment, but there's Cash. One more touch to center, no, and you could see the confidence Extra and iIgnite had. They just assumed he was going to get that touch because he hasn't missed much, but that time he did. Now to be iIgnite for Extra. Coming up on the halfway mark, Extra avoids the demo. iIgnite has an option. It's Cash, but he's thrown it to the corner.
And Cash definitely not as online as he was in that last game. He would have slotted at least 2 in versus Solary that we saw in the last series, but he has to step it up right now. He's had a couple of opportunities. He needs to find that back of the net. AS Monaco, this is do or die. This is the moment where they need him the most to see whether it was a good decision to go with him over Tigre for this spring series.
Popped up for Zamway, dropped down, but Tox backs off, wisely so. Now he can turn and take a drive, but Extra's there. iIgnite had to come across as well, just in case. No damage done to the rotations, however, as Extra will throw one downfield. iIgnite thought about it, but now he'll turn, and now he's a little lost out there. He's looking for boost and not finding any, and not picking up many pennies either, but this time he's got just enough as he can jump up and send it downfield. Now Cash has to take over. Stake. Oh, he just had Cash right in his sights, took him out. They're back to full strength, and downfield comes AS Monaco.
I really thought right there that Demo opened up just enough space to find the goal. It wasn't enough. They didn't find the goal, but I think what Canyons is doing really, really well is just letting AS Monaco come to them. They're giving them some space. They're set up in defense, letting them hit the ball forward, and only then do they start attacking. Like right there, Stax is just covering the pass, and another pass from Zamwe into mid, almost talks with the finish. Very well played by Canyons.
Ignite has extra. They can't get by Zamwe. Talks now over top of extra as he's got to rush back. Cash is there on the back wall, looking to spring Ignite downfield. This is still banking towards the net. Cash can't get there in time. Great reactions by Talks. This is a loose ball deep into the Monaco corner. Stake will take over, and Extra's there. He read the ball coming off the back wall perfectly. Now Ignite to Cash, and another stop made by Zamwe. It does look like Canyons are making a point to know exactly where Cash is at all times, but he's got to get separated from Ignite as well. They've only got 13 seconds. Cash trying to do it himself. Now he's going to need teammates. Ignite, all he can do is stall. Zamwe got a piece of it. Extra misses. They can't get downfield. Monaco's running out of time, and Canyons are going to take game one.
And that is the first crack in the wall that we saw in the last series, Stax. It is not the absolute unit of Monaco that we saw last game, with Cash completely popping off, being assisted by Ignite and Extra. The only thing that they got going for them in this series, in this first game, was a completely freebie given to them by Canyons. And besides that, it was Canyons' game all game long. They saw all the passes coming. They knew what Monaco was doing, and they shut it down.
Yeah, when you take out the dueling goals in the first 15 seconds or so that were absolutely bizarre, it turns into just a 1-0 game in favor of Canyons. They did control a majority of that game. They earned game one, but now they've got to do it again. How long can they keep this Monaco team at bay? We'll find out as we start game two. Zamwe does get there on the kickoff. Hasn't been a guarantee. They've had a couple kickoffs that they have made a mess out of since we've seen them going back to the last match earlier. This will be Zamwe dropping one down. Nobody there to follow up. Stake keeps the attack alive, but only until Ignite can clear downfield.
And even if Canyons does take this game, even though it's very early to call that, do not sit tight, because Canyons is the type of team that may let a bit of space here and there, and AS Monaco, especially with Cash, if they do get that, and if they do get back into that flow, if they start getting these chances, they can really get back into a series, and a reverse sweep is not out of the question at all. If you are the Canyons right now, do not ever let go of your foot off the pedal, because it will cost you very dearly.
That's what cost them against Endpoint. They could not hold on to a lead to save their lives. Now Cash gonna have this one drop down right onto him. Pass out to Ignite, and Zamwe read it the whole way. Talks and Stake. It'll be Talks who takes over. Ignite will cut him off at midfield, so Cash can come in looking to get a piece of Zamwe. But Zamwe is right there, able to send the ball downfield. Win another challenge. Looking to center again. He's got Talks there, but Extra swats the ball away.
I do think AS Monaco is looking very skittish. They're not using the possession at all right now, Stax. Every single touch is just a boom, and Talks almost getting a crazy angle of the back, but that just didn't find the back of the net. But the pressure is mounting, attack after attack. Seems like a matter of time before Canyons score, but two people making sure it doesn't happen on this specific one, and a lack of boost might be all that AS Monaco needs to actually push out of defense and get an attack going for themselves there.
Ignite gonna circle around, so Extra will take over, trying to play past Stake, but he went right at him. Stake has missed this entirely. It hasn't been perfect defensively for Canyon so far, but again, you look at the only goal they've given up was off that kickoff very early on in game number one. Now Zamwe Shot off the crossbar. We've seen teams hit the bar in the post against Monaco time and again. It's happened here twice. Now Cash. He's got extra running downfield. He'll steal some boost, but now somebody's got to get back. It's Ignite. Barely getting a piece of this ball. Tox waiting on the side. Needs one more touch and Cash is all over, but extra went too. That could be costly for Monaco. A little bit of hero ball coming out. Communication's got to be better on both sides.
And that is true for sure, Stax. All the double commits, that's not something that should happen at this level. You should know who's going for specific balls, but it's when that happens, when one of those double commits happen, it's often because of an earlier mistake happening. You got to give each other space in defense so you keep your momentum. You can create these chances by just going off the counter-attack, pass to each other, like we see here. Zamway down to Stokes, down to Stax, back bolt, but Cash is there. We're at that well. They live for just a little while longer, but it seems like a matter of time before Kenyans find the slight crack in the defense of Monaco.
Cash, oh, he clipped that ball almost. Might actually have. It didn't result in any kind of a shot, didn't throw off the defense at all, but now extra. He is past the defense. This is dangerously close to the mark, but just a little bit wide, and Jamway dishes off to the side for Tox. Now Jamway again. Oh, Tox thought about turning, but extra was right there. And another good decision made by Tox. He's made plenty so far today. He has been very solid. I think is the best word to describe Tox's play. Hasn't been flashy, hasn't been extraordinary, but he has been exactly what Kenyans have needed. Now Cash gonna try to spring extra downfield, but it'll be Ignite who takes over. 25 seconds left. Still no hint of a goal in game number 2. Dake almost dunked his way into one, but could not read it correctly.
That was the hint right there, Stax. That should have found the back of the net. That should have been the goal. That should have been 2-0 for Kenyans. But they did not find it, and it's looking like this will be an overtime. Hopefully the kickoffs will go right for Kenyans, but if they do, this might be a long one because both of these teams will not want to lose this game.
Two teams that have had a tendency to play very conservatively in these overtimes. You can imagine could have the saves rack up as Tox will make one there. It is just the 4th save that Kenyans have made. Only 5 saves on the other side, but 9 shots on or around the target coming out from the Kenyans as Cash made a bid to end this overtime quickly.
Could not find it though, and now Ignite pass to extra. That's it. That's past Zamway, and that is Monaco getting one for themselves. You don't need shots when you put that one in because that is enough for them to bring it back.
The 6th shot in 5 minutes and 38 seconds for AS Monaco has leveled this series at a game apiece. And to be honest, we couldn't have expected any different, right? Two teams that have so much on the line, all the preparation coming into this week, coming down to this one series for maybe not quite the opportunity of a lifetime, because that would be, a win and in to get directly into the RLCS, but to get into the spring series, get into this main event, all the money that comes from that, and a shot at the big teams like Dignitas that's waiting for the winner of this over the weekend. Boy, that's a huge opportunity for a lot of these players.
Yeah, and it definitely is. And I think both teams really have their own reasons for wanting to make that specific stage. I think RCD Español or Kenyans, they want to show that it wasn't a fluke, their RLRS season. They are a top team in Europe and they should have made RLCS. Well, they want to prove all the doubters wrong, that the European Invitational wasn't just a one-time thing. But Monaco, on the other hand, they had a bad RLCS season, to say the absolute least. And with the addition of Cash, they want to show that it wasn't due to them and that they are still relevant players in the scene and that they deserve to play the absolute best. But that snuck in Zamway. How was that a goal?
Just Zamway finds a way early on in games, more often than not, to strike when nobody expects it. He's got his third of the series with that goal there. And yet again, you see Canyons getting on the board early. This time, they don't immediately concede a goal as Cash is denied by Tox. As good as Cash has been all throughout the day and that previous series we saw against Solari, well, they have not been able to cash any checks in this series. Instead, it's bounced, but this time, the bounce goes the way of Monaco, and iignite will get credit for a goal, but man, this took a weird trip on its way in.
That was very interesting. Cash getting the bump on Tox into the ball, and it somehow still got the angle towards goal as well. It seems like Lady Luck today is on Monaco's side, where it did not go into their goal during the Solari game. All right, now they get another 3 goals. We saw one in the first game of their series as well going towards them. They really have it going for them today. All they need now is to keep this up and keep it going.
Tox, one more touch. Oh, that's dropped down in front and very dangerous, but extra there to clean up the mess. Now Cashel throwing downfield. That's easily dealt with by Tox, but he didn't get this out of the zone. But now Tox can clear. He will. Shamway downfield looking for a dunk. And this time, Cash wisely gets the ball away from Shamway. You look at the goals that Monaco has scored in this series, Joessi. They have not been what you would call good goals, right? You've had one off the kickoff. You had an empty net in transition that ended that overtime. And then you had the ball pinballing around in front and going in off a defender. That is all the offense Monaco has mustered in this series. Something's got to change very quickly. Otherwise, you have to like Canyon's chances a lot.
Yeah, definitely, Stax. It's not been pretty, but it's done the job so far. Cash now dropping it down, and that was almost the first brilliant goal on the side of AS Monaco. But I think you raise a very fair point there. I think Monaco is just looking very scared compared to their last series. They're not even keeping up any pressure. They're not getting consecutive attacks. It's all just on the counter, and yes, it worked in that overtime, and yes, it did give you the win, but in the long term, that is not a viable strategy. You need to create more chances.
Lateral challenge. Tox ran out of boost and could not catch up. Now it'll be Shamway floating one up there for Stake out of the side. And Cash has to come in from midfield to dump this to the corner and make sure there's no follow-up. Halfway point in game number 3. Not a whole lot to separate Monaco and Canyons with the spring series. One final spot on the line here along the lower bracket. Extra got this out in front, but Cash could not charge in. Stake could not get over Cash, and back and forth these two teams go, battling with their last chance in the qualifier.
I'm liking Monaco more though, Stax, because we talked about the fact that their goals so far weren't pretty, but this game they've ramped it up in terms of shooting, where they were really lacking last game. It's looking much, much better for them right now, and I think it's mainly due to them looking for each other out of defense rather than just booming it upfield. They're finding each other, they're finding these passes and the opportunities that ensue.
Hey, this is how Extra and iignite got to the RLCS in the first place. Just playing a lot of kind of messy, sloppy games, just grind it out, hang around until the very end, and get that one crucial strike that puts them through into the win column. Stake trying to find some way, could not hit. So Tox, looks like he might have been going for a boost off to the corner, had to make a quick turn. And now it will be iignite to come up and challenge here. He's got there. Cash, quick turn. Couldn't put it on. And iignite sails one up to the ceiling. Extra whiffs entirely as well. So now Cash to keep the play alive. Against Tox. It'll fall to iignite, and Stake is there to challenge as well. Jamway gets a piece of this. Well defended by the Canyon.
Yeah, the defense absolutely on point. Everything's being challenged. It's high up, it's far out, but still there's one going for the ball. When you feel like he should be getting beaten by the offense, that is not the case. And now an opportunity. It's Zamway finding the goal. It's 2-1 for Canyons.
They had a defender stuck in the net, and it's Cash who has been money all throughout the past couple of series, but Jamway beat him this time as Cash couldn't make the read. And it's huge for the Canyons with 28 seconds to go, trying to reach match point. Jamway just dumping another one in. Time now the enemy of Monaco. Ignite almost got there with a pre-flip. And now Cash banking one towards Ignite. No, it'll be Cash taking it himself. That got by Jamway, but Stake is there. Time winding down, 5 seconds. Ignite! Oh, Stake is there. One final stop for the Canyons. This should touch down, and it will. Canyons 1 win away.
But it should have been a goal, Stax. That was the opportunity to absolutely have a great strike onto the mentality of Canyons, because if you bring this game back, the one that you've been so dominant in, but you were still trailing, if you brought it back, that would have been amazing, and that would have given you so much momentum. But now instead, you've given Canyons that win, and now you're facing match point to get that spring series final spot. And oh, it's really looking tough for Monaco, because if you cannot win in a game that you're playing like that, how are you going to win the next one?
And you don't see many games where Canyons have to make 11 saves collectively, but that's the second game in a row where you've had the team with the fewest shots by a fairly significant margin end up coming through. It's quality over quantity, and Canyons now are going to try to ride this wave of momentum towards one more dub. But they have got AS Monaco to contend with. That's on the goal line. Jamway couldn't touch it. It's still there and finally goes in.
Is that the slowest shot ever in Rocket League history? I think it might be a very good contender. That is bronze level missing of the ball right there, Stax. I don't think I've ever seen this go so slow over the back line. I thought he was going to get a save, but again, a great start in the game for the Canyon squad, because they get once again an early goal. It's been every single game this series.
And it's been Jamway who has been a menace to deal with. Almost got another there. Stake will try to convert. He cannot. Now Tox, slow play around one, could not play around a second. And now to be Jamway looking for more. He's got his flip, but kind of went past the ball. Doesn't matter because he served it up for Stake on the rebound.
And that is 2-0 now for Canyons. A great little flip reset coming out from Jamway, and took 2 defenders out because they had no clue what was happening to that ball. And it's just drove down for Stake to be finished off. And now this is looking really, really good for Canyons as they put a third one in. Not even 40 seconds played. And they're trailing by 3. Oh, Monaco, Monaco, Monaco. How are you bringing this back?
And it wasn't much of a cheat either from Jamway. He was late on this. They went for the demo on him, but it was too late. By the time they saw Jamway coming up, he was already around the defense. And it was just free real estate, as Jorby says. And now a 3-0 lead. Canyons threatening to run away with a clinching game and putting themselves into the Spring Series main event.
And deservedly so, with the way that they've been playing these few games, because there is such a thing as a clutch factor. You don't need to always play the prettiest Rocket League if you can still manage to get away with the win. And that is a very good job, and they've done exactly that. They keep finding the back of the net, and if you're 3-0 up with match point, then you're doing very well for yourselves.
We came into this series talking all about Cash and how it was going to be a challenge for Canyons to shut him down. No goals, no assists. He may get one here, and no, Stake stopped him there as well. It has been the Jamway show, as we've seen him take over plenty of times before in the rival series. Now he's back on form again with 6 goals. 6 out of the 7 that Canyons have scored. Does that remind you of anybody? It should. Cash from the previous series.
Yeah, but he's been invisible so far, like you mentioned, and I think it is partly Cash himself just not playing the same level as he did last series, but do not take away any credit for Canyons, because with the way that they've been contesting every single ball and the way they can read their opposition to just intercept any pass that they're trying to make and not give any space to any player, that's exactly what you need against players like Cash.
What we've seen today, the individual performances, iGNITE almost squeaked one through. That would have been a huge boon for Monaco, but it just does not work out. Now Extra trying to center. He's got iGNITE there, and he could not put it on.
Monaco, that was once again an opportunity. I think it could have been a much different series if Monaco was playing like they were playing that last one. I think they would have had a very real chance of making this a great one, going all the way to 5 games. But if you're missing sitters like that, I don't even think you belong into the spring series. But Cash right now bringing one back. It's still 1 minute 50. It is possible, but it's gonna be hard.
You're gonna need maybe a natural hat trick from Cash. He has been quiet in the series, but he's got one there, and maybe that's the opening that Monaco have needed. They haven't been blown out or dominated in any of these games. This has been the biggest lead anybody has had, the 3 goals that Canyons opened up. But now a chance for Monaco to continue clawing their way back. This will be Tox taking over. I was going to talk about the individual performances we've seen in this tournament. Metzonoris earlier with Endpoint. Then we saw great stuff out of Cash with Monaco. We're seeing Jamway steal the spotlight in this series. Cash will float one up, and that's easily dealt with by Tox. So another opportunity gone by the wayside. More valuable time taken off the clock for Monaco. And every time, Joessi, you see Canyons get this ball deep into the orange zone, it just makes that task tougher and tougher. A taller hill to climb for AS Monaco.
And it's not just that, Stax, because it's looking like AS Monaco is getting annoyed because they can't fire that goal, and they keep going for really weird stuff just to try and brute force that goalie, and that's not gonna work. You need to keep to the basics, and now you're gonna concede. No, Extra's just there in time, but they're not out of the water just yet, and this might seal the deal. Zamway make sure that Canyons gets that spot into the spring series, Stax.
Who else? Who else was going to score this goal? Zamway, number 7. He clearly had his eyes on the last series we saw with Monaco. He saw that Cash put on a performance for the ages and said, hold up, let me show you how it's done. And the veteran has come through for the Canyons. It will indeed be the former Espanyol Canyons going up against Dignitas this weekend when the spring series resumes, as Canyons have punched their ticket into the main event.
And in what a fashion too. I mean, shutting out a player like that is very, very impressive. And even the entirety of Monaco for a large part of that series seemed nearly invisible. It just seemed like they were chilling around in free play with the 3 of them at times. The Canyons playing absolutely beautifully. And if they can keep this up next weekend, then they actually might have a very real chance at going further than just the spring series itself.
Oh, absolutely. The way they played against Monaco here, I'd give them a shot against just about anybody. I would have given them a shot against anybody after the rival series season, and it just didn't work out for them in the promotion tournament. But you see what they did against this Monaco team that, again, they went their previous series against a very, very good Solari squad and shut them out 9-0. Canyons comes back and shuts down Monaco, holds them to just 4 goals from 4 games. And you could not ask for a better finish going into this weekend for Canyons. Tough challenge. They rose to meet it. and well-deserved. They are through into the final bracket.
I am also kind of happy that Kenyans ended up taking it, because it's absolutely crazy how well the European scene has been developing. And I think teams like Kenyans, teams like the Clappers as well, which is just a bubble scene team. They're not even in the RLRS, and they've made it to one of the biggest stages that now there is in Rocket League. So massive congratulations to them. And I think it's so fun to see these new names, these new faces, these new players pop up and pop off during games as well, just taking matters into their own hands, making sure that their team is the one that makes it to the biggest stages.
And you can see there the final bracket for the weekend spring series. There is, of course, one team left to slot in there, either Singularity or Team BDS. That series, by my understanding, has not started yet. That will be the final series of the lower bracket. We'll send somebody to take on Vitality. But you look at those matchups, Joessi. You got Dignitas against this Canyon squad, Metzanoris and Endpoint up against Barcelona. That's going to be a fantastic series. Now Sports and Clappers came out of nowhere, and they opened some eyes today. That was a lot of fun to follow their path through the upper bracket. And of course, Vitality is going to have their hands full, especially if they end up against BDS, the way that BDS played throughout the rival series season. Look, I know K-Doppy is really, really good at Rocket League, but that's going to be a fun match, regardless of whether it's BDS or Singularity.
I agree, and I think what yesterday and today has shown is that no one is safe. Teams like Veloce just get knocked down to the lower brackets in spectacular fashion, and even there they cannot make it that far because there's so many absolutely great teams currently in Europe. And then teams like the Clappers, who come out of nowhere, come absolutely swing and take everybody by surprise. I think every team needs to respect all the others that have made it to this stage, because it takes something to get here, and that doesn't just disappear in a few days. It's going to be there this weekend, and you have to watch out for it. And it might even be more scary because you don't know what they're going to do. When you're facing off against a fellow RLCS team, you've probably already faced them a couple of times that season. You faced them last season. But this new team, how are they going to play? How do you face off against them? You just don't know.
Well, there is one final match to be played. It will be Singularity and BDS. The boys over at Rocket Kingdom will have that. That concludes all of our coverage here on the Rocket for the Spring Series qualifiers. Joessi, any final thoughts before we put a wrap on this one?
I just want to thank everyone for allowing us to broadcast this and having this event. I think for both viewers, both casters and players, is absolutely phenomenal to have another tournament of this level. And I can't wait to watch this weekend. I'll be cheering for every single team because it's just been so enjoyable, Stax. And I think that everyone in chat, I will see in the chat again this weekend.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. For my broadcast partner here, Joessi. For all the others, StealthyWoolf, Danny Boy, the legend, Boyo, and of course, Boyan pushing all the buttons behind the scenes. Stax wishing you a farewell as we send you off one final time. It is indeed the Canyon squad that punches their ticket into the Spring Series. Tune in this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun.